Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Anthony. Welcome to our webinar today. So recently, on early November, GACC has introduced a new registration module on the single window system for overseas food producers to apply for registration. So now, apart from the 18 groups of food producers, which requires their competent authorities' recommendation for registration, all the other groups of food producers can now directly apply for registration through the single window system. However, overseas producers have been asking questions since the release of the new single window system, ranging from, am I included in the first mentioned other groups of food producers, to, is an application through the single window system the only thing I need to obtain registration? Is there any other materials I need, or am I required for some other additional conditions? So we have already guided you to go through the overview of the GACC Decree 248 in our previous videos. So for today's video, we'll be mainly focusing on the first mentioned other groups of food producers to obtain registration and their path of applying for registration, which we call self-registration. I'm Anthony, your speaker today, from GACC Registration Service Organization. We're an organization established under the official rules and regulations and is dedicated to provide our customers with efficient, professional, one-stop registration solutions and other relevant services. So if you have any questions or suggestions about our video, or you're looking for a business partnership, you're always welcome to contact us through our official email, gacc@foodgacc.com. So I know that some of you may be already familiar with GACC Decree 248, or maybe you have watched our latest videos introducing the GACC Decree 248. You may know that there are 18 groups of food producers which are required for their competent authorities' recommendation to obtain registration. But however, some of you may also have already noticed that there were several other groups of food producers which are not included in the 18 groups. So what are these food products? Paris, could you please help me? Alright, so as we can see here, this pure pineapple juice from Thailand, and this bottle of wine from Italy, and we also have the espresso Arabica coffee bean, roasted coffee bean from the United States, this bottle of Coca-Cola, which are produced in Japan, and this bag of Doritos, as we can see, thank you, from China, Taiwan. So here comes a question: what do you think these products belong to? Do they belong to these 18 groups? As we can see, do you think what kind of product do you think this bottle of Coca-Cola belong to? Do they belong to dairy products? Do they belong to health foods? Well, it doesn't seem quite right. So here comes another question: what do these products required to obtain registration with GACC? Well, the answer is yes. For as GACC introduced in their new Decree 248, all of overseas food producers that export food to China, no matter what kind of food you're producing and exporting to China, are all required to obtain registration with GACC. So here comes another question. Now that we know that they are not required to obtain registration through their competent authorities' recommendation, then how are we gonna get these products registered? Or are we gonna just leave it here and let it automatically get registered? Well, here GACC introduced in the new Decree 248 another path of obtaining registration. The overseas producers of these groups of products, which doesn't belong to the 18 groups here, can now directly apply for registration with GACC by themselves or by the entrusted agents. So I know that some of you may already have been questioning that are these food producers apply to the self-registration scope and require for the same conditions as the 18 groups of products, which require for their competent authorities' recommendation? Well, I have to clarify that yes, all of the requirements for overseas producers exporting food to China are all the same, no matter what kind of food you're trying to export to China, and no matter what path of application for registration you're going through. So as we can see here in our presentation, there are 4 major conditions introduced by GACC for you to obtain registration. So first of all, your country had to pass GACC's equivalence assessments and review. So the equivalence assessment and review here refers to GACC's evaluation on your country's food safety management system and on whether they are equivalent to the corresponding Chinese system, so as to ensure that the food exported to China complies with relevant Chinese food safety standards. But we have to emphasize that these requirements are not compulsory in the old regulation system. Most of the products from most of the countries haven't yet passed GACC's such equivalence assessments and review. So our professional advice is, when you're trying to export a kind of good food to China and you're trying to apply for registration, the first thing you want to do is to consult your competent authority on whether they have already passed GACC's equivalent assessments and reviews. So for the second requirement, your production plant has to be established under the approval of your competent authority, such as you are granted a business license by your competent authority, which is a crucial requirement when crucial required material when you're trying to apply for registration. And for the third requirement, again, is for the overseas producers themselves, is that their enterprise had to establish an efficient food safety management and sanitation management system, so as to ensure that their food products exported to China complies with relevant Chinese laws, regulations, and national food safety standards. And for those food products which has already existed quarantine protocols signed between your competent authority and GACC, of course, we also have to follow the requirements of these quarantine protocols. So here we also listed the required registration materials. You may provide these materials to GACC to apply for registration. So the first thing you need is some documents certifying the identification of your production plant, such as we mentioned before, the business licenses granted by your competent authority. And also you have to provide an application for registration and a statement of conformity. For our years of compliance experience, however, we have seen so much circumstances that the overseas producer provided an application for registration and statement of conformity issued by the non-compliant agents or by the overseas producers themselves in a non-compliant way, which might cause serious troubles later on, especially when you're trying to change your registration information and you're trying to apply for registration renewal. And sometimes when GACC conducts re-evaluation on your registered information and finds that your information you provided is non-compliant. So this might cause some pretty serious circumstances. So our professional advice is you just find a reliable and professional agent or a compliance consultant to help you apply for registration and submit to GACC, so that you can just avoid all those negative consequences later on. So here we also made a processing chart for the overseas producers to obtain registration through the self-application path. So the first of all, as we mentioned before, the first thing you want to do is to consult your competent authority whether they have already passed GACC's equivalence assessments and review for the kind of products you're trying to export to China. So after confirming it, you may start filing for your registration materials and submit them to GACC, whether by yourself or by your entrusted agents, and after which GACC may conduct evaluation and review and decide whether to grant you with a Chinese registration number as a conclusion of a successful application for registration, or to deny your registration and inform you of the denial of the registration in writing. So another commonly asked question is GACC's labeling requirement for the registration number. So in GACC's Decree 248, GACC has issued that the registration number shall be included on both the inner and outer packaging of the food products exported to China. However, sometimes you may get confused what are the definition of the inner and outer packaging. So GACC has clarified in the newly introduced explanation for the Decree 248 that inner packaging refers to the minimum sales package so that when the registration number is included, your consumers of your products can directly see your registration number for their purchase. And the outer packaging refers to the shipping packaging. It's a packaging when your product is shipped to China, so that GACC may directly see if the product's registration number is valid. So, however, there are also some circumstances that inner packaging may be outer packaging, and outer packaging may sometimes also be inner packaging. So our professional advice is you just include the registration number on every layer of your packaging, so you just avoid any follow-on troubles. So as we mentioned times before, the practical situations may get rather complicated, way more than the way that this presentation has described. So in such situations, we, as a professional and reliable registration service organization, may provide assistance to help you get registered and get through all these complicated situations safely and reliably. So we provide all the services and assistance in order to get you registered, including we will help you fill in your application form and relevant application materials and help you submit your application to GACC. And we may also help you to track your application process of your registration and help you file for record in the GACC system. And after obtaining registration, we will also help you to manage your registration number and your registered information, and help you to apply for information changes and registration renewal as long as needed. We may also provide a wide range of compliance services for overseas food producers. We provide training courses for overseas producers and to build up an overall compliance foundation for your enterprise. And we also provide GACC remedy services, turning your failure of application into success. And we also provide translation of GACC official files, including laws, regulations, and standards. We will help you get through the language barrier and understand the Chinese food safety system. So that's all we have today. And again, if you have any questions and suggestions about our video, you're always welcome to contact us through our official email, gacc@foodgacc.com, or visit our official website. And also, in our next video, we will make a video about how to get registered through the single window system step by step. So please keep your eye on our video and subscribe our channel in order to get more information about registration. Thank you.